Now we in the book of Exodus right now. We're about to break down the purpose of Israel and the purpose of explaining the separation between the Israelites and every other nation in the
Relationship with
world.
him, and it was good. But humanity rebels, and the relationship is
Talk
fractured,
about Adam and
and
Eve
access to
right
God's
now.
presence is lost.
The basic concept of a man being in the presence of God. The basic concept right here, man being in the presence of God. So he brought a certain nation of people through certain bloodline to come closer nigh into the presence of the Most High, starting with Abraham.
But God promised Abraham that he would restore his blessing to all of the nations, and that includes this restoration of relations.
So through one man, he was going to bless all of the nations with the knowledge of how to get in the presence of the Most High eternally.
And access to God's presence.
So here at Sinai, God's presence is now right here in front of them, and
it's actually
quite frightening. And he's here to invite Israel into this unique and close relationship with him.
And the word used to describe this relationship is covenant. It's like a...
So the word to describe the relationship that the Most High offering out of any other people is a covenant. Whether you be Gentile or whether you be Israelite by blood, there's only really a spiritual covenant. This spiritual covenant, this allows you to be in the presence of the Most High through Christ and thus forth, and to be set apart as the Most High, and set apart as God and His holy ones, His prophets.
Legal agreement between God and Israel. And it's unique because up till now, God hasn't asked Israel to do anything in return, just to trust him. But here on this mountain, God is going to ask Israel to do something.
Mount Sinai, Exodus 20.
He gives them a whole set of laws. It includes the 10 Commandments. And if they obey these commandments, they will become the people who will represent God to the nations of the world.
Like a priest would.
Yeah, in fact, that's what God calls them to become, a kingdom of priests. And this is all connected back to the promise to Abraham that his family would become a blessing to the nations.
Okay, but obeying these laws is going to be difficult because there's a lot of them and they set a really high standard.
So when we talk about these laws right here that we are to obey, there's not just the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments sum up all of the laws and the statutes and the commandments, the judgments, the ordinances, it's all type of rules and regulations to be in the presence of the Most High. So in order to be in the presence of the Most High and qualified to be an incorruptible being, we must keep this law of the gods or of the angels in heaven to be in the circle of and numbered amongst the people of God. Okay, and this is generally talking about Jehovah Allah generally, period.
Though if you think about it, I mean, of anybody in the world who should be able to do it, I mean, it's these people who experienced firsthand God's grace and his power when he rescued them from slavery.
So wait a minute. So also, just to add, also, Jesus, in the book, the separation of understandings comes when you go to church and you're told and taught that Jesus didn't teach the Torah and taught completely against the Torah. That's wrong. That is absolutely wrong. As a matter of fact, Jesus was that spirit in the wilderness, or that angel in the wilderness that was guiding the people. It was the spirit of Christ, because Christ came in the volume of the book, in the volume of the law. He had to fulfill the law, as in actually do the law and teach the people a law according to the grace and according to that dispensation.
To obey the terms, but then they refuse to go into God's presence because it's still a bit frightening.
And since the people won't go up, Moses goes up to the mountain by himself to meet with God. But God still wants to be with all of his people, and so he says, okay, if the people won't come up here to me, I'll come down off this mountain to be with you all. And that's why he orders Moses to build this elaborate tent as a place where God's presence can be among his people.
And that's why
So he built the tent. He called the tent the tabernacle of the assembly. And then it's later on in the Torah, in the first 5 books, he made a separate tent called the tabernacle of the congregation, and split the tabernacle of the congregation outside of the camp of the Israelites and outside of the camp of the general population. But the tabernacle of the congregation would be a place where you would go seek the Most High privily and learn the secret mysteries of the Most High, where the priesthood of Ithamar, where the sons of Ithamar would go. So you would have the judges and the elders in the inside camp, where the general assembly of the Israelites would be of the 12 tribes, and then you would have an outside tabernacle, which would be the tabernacle of the congregation. And then later in Exodus 30 something, I believe, if don't quote me on that, and in that tabernacle, it would be a difference between the two tabernacles, making the difference between later what would be called the Temple of Solomon and the tabernacle of the Jebusites. So one would be the tabernacle of the congregation, and one would be for the one holy things will go into the temple. So these was two separate tabernacles for two separate things. We did different things in these tabernacles that would later become in the book of Samuel, in the book of Chronicles, and in the book of Kings.
Next thing we get is 7 chapters of extremely detailed architectural blueprints for this tent. It's really
so
long.
remember what Jesus said, as on earth so shall it be in heaven. So
value. For example, there's all this Garden of Eden imagery inside the tent.
So inside of this tent, I gotta explain to you, this tent represented the body of man, and how inside of this tent was to be acceptable. So we need the tools. He gave us the tools to literally build the tent from inward out during that time. But also there is a spiritual value and connection to this, because he gives us the tools of characteristic and attributes of our character to have in order to build our tent in our temple regarding to our body in our inward, so that the Most High and the angels can come within our minds, and we can do these things, the 144,000 I said to do amongst that army in so-called World War III thus forth.
To remind you that when you're in the tent, you are in God's presence.
Then we get another 6 chapters describing how they built the tent, which is really just repeating the same blueprints word for word.
Now let's back up, because before the tent is finished, there's this super important story. Moses is coming off the mountain with the 10 commandments and the blueprint.
So if we talking about we the Israelites and thus forth, we want to know the scriptures and the laws of God and the judgments and the statutes, inward, outward. We want to know all of the ways of God. We want to know all of the ways of the heavens, so that we may fulfill our duty, and that's to be a light to the nations on earth, and that's to give up our free will to the Most High and live eternally, and have our name blotted not out of the book of life, since in the beginning of time, we have our adversary Satan, who didn't want to bow down unto Adam being mankind, and who didn't want to bow down unto man as being his replacement with the angels he would later deceive. Who he will earlier deceive for the sake of righteousness, trying to be as God on earth, and trying to deceive man by the miseries by which he fell, through the trace of evil. That's how he was called the devil. So he was once in heaven with Jesus Christ, but eventually he fell with the angels, being deceived through pride.
It's in his hands, and he finds Israel breaking the first 2 commands of the covenant.
Don't have any other gods before me, and don't worship idol statues.
Right, and so here we are, immediately after agreeing to the covenant, they're throwing this.
So let's understand something right here. Well, in Exodus chapter 30, I believe 32 or 33, Moses came down from the mountain after writing all of these things down on the tablets. While we on this mountain, we receive phonics. While we on this mountain, we receive the laws. And the Moses came down. Now remember, the people, 600,000 men, that's 20 and upward, not including the mixed multitude and the women and children. The 600,000, these men that came out of Egypt still had the customs and the idols and all of the things they had learned from Egypt. And and it was legal to do those things before they got this marriage contract or covenant between them and the Most High. But once we received this covenant, then everything that we did from Egypt, and then our slavery and our idols, like let's say smoking weed or drinking or pedophilia or whatever we done learned, or whatever idol we done got from Egypt so far, You know, it was to be illegal and we couldn't do it no more. And it would be punishment after the fact. We would be given this covenant of Moses.
Ritual party, they're worshiping an idol. And so God says to Moses, you know what, this is not going to work. I should just wipe these people out and start over with you.
But Moses reminds God of his promise to Abraham and pleads with God to spare them, which is a really weird conversation. Why would God need to be reminded of something?
Yeah, it does seem odd, but this dialogue is inviting us into God's experience of grief and pain due to Israel's actions, and he really could walk away. But instead, this God chooses faithfulness to his own promises, even though he knows it's going to cost him.
So, this was a short little version of the book of Exodus and exactly what situation we are in regards to the holy everlasting covenant of the ancient Israelites from the beginning all the way to this very present day. This is child number 7. I'm out.